You can tell I'm stalling for time because I really don't want to talk about this last story, and that's not fair. I do want to talk about the last story, but it's the dumbest conspiracy I've ever heard. And I just did an episode on mountains are tree stumps, so that should tell you how I feel about this. Now, it was so ridiculous to me that on my YouTube video for TGA gray spacing, someone said, hey, you should take a look at this new iceberg. And I said, no, that new iceberg's full of fake stuff. There's something on there that says World War II was full of crisis actors. What a crisis actor is, it's somebody who plays a part during a preparedness drill. So if they're like, okay, so we're going to run a simulation that an earthquake struck San Francisco. We want to see how our preparedness is. They'll get people to be like, oh, my arm. Oh, no, my kid's buried underneath that stuff. Ah. The crisis actors is also used a lot of time when they talk about Sandy Hook was fake or the Boston Marathon bombing was fake. They're like, oh, they just had crisis actors. They just had people out there that pretended that their limbs were blown off. That guy didn't have a leg when he showed up to the marathon. And then he had a fake leg that fell off. And then he laid on the ground and goes, ah, my bloody stump. People actually believe that conspiracy theory. That the victims of the Boston bombing during the Boston Marathon, they didn't have limbs when they showed up. So anyways, that's what a brief overview of crisis actors. Now, World War II, it was full of crisis actors. I was like, that's ridiculous. And then SN, a YouTube user known as SN, said, you know what, I hate to play devil's advocate, but this is actually a legit conspiracy theory. He goes, the YouTube video is taken down, but click this link. And that's when I discovered that people will believe or not believe truly anything. I thought that I had reached the levels of what was possible in conspiracy theory until I found this. And what's interesting is this whole conspiracy theory is hinged, it's almost like fossilized remains. It's almost like digging through the dirt and finding a tusk, 2 ribs, and a hoof and having to try to build a mastodon. Because this conspiracy theory, has no mainstream appeal, obviously. What we have is a YouTube video from a YouTube channel. The video has been deleted, and the YouTube channel has been deleted for violating community guidelines. We don't have the name of the person who put up the YouTube channel. All we have is a Reddit thread where people who watched the video talked about the video and copied and pasted comments from the video. And we have a merchandise store. But I'll get to that in a second. So, World War II never happened. A lot of the arguments you'll find with this one is the same arguments you find with a lot of conspiracy theories. Footage is faked. Pictures can be photoshopped. Eyewitness accounts can be faked as well. This theory, and it's not, I want to be clear, it's not if World War II never happened, this is what the world would be like Harry Turtledove. It didn't happen at all. These are the branches of this conspiracy theory from what I've gathered from the limited amount of resources I've been able to pull up on this. 1, some people believe that it happened in a sense, where we did everyone sent over their young men to fight in this war, and they all were in on it. There was no actual war taking place. So they all came over to the war zones, and they were told, you're going to go back and tell people these great war stories. We want people to believe that this big, huge war took place. You guys will get medals. You guys will be heroes. And it's to keep the status quo, the Illuminati, satanic banking, merchant system. We're just going to pretend that we fought it. And then you go home. That's one part of the conspiracy. Second part of the conspiracy, or the second option, is that the war happened in a sense where they shipped all of the young men from America over to Europe, and then all of the young German men and the Swedish men and stuff like that, and then blew them up. Killed them all on purpose, and then called it a war. So the war itself didn't happen. It was the genocide of, and here we go, young white men. That was the point of the war. So here's an actual comment that was on the YouTube page that was saved onto Reddit. The purpose of wars, at least since the American Revolution, and in earlier centuries, that doesn't make sense if it's since the American Revolution, but whatever, at least since the American Revolution and in earlier centuries, was to kill off large numbers of young, healthy, and brave white males, which ostensibly prevented most of them from passing on their genes to the next generation. You know, we fought in Japan, too. Vietnam, Korea, Middle East, Native Americans. America doesn't only fight white people. We fought in Mexico. So that one's not really washing with. None of this washes, but that's the theory, is that they're just like, the purpose of the war was to just kill a bunch of white people. That's the reason why the war happened in the first place. But then, we're also told those who spread the lie of World War II was real, please provide proof. I mean, I get that The Boy in the Striped Pajamas and Saving Private Ryan are not documentaries. But there are documentaries. Thousands and thousands of hours of documentaries and books and eyewitness accounts and bombs that didn't go off that are still buried all over Europe. That's the proof. Do they just think cities vaporized on their own? I mean, their argument is the cities didn't get vaporized. Photos of Dresden were photoshopped. It didn't happen. Battle of Britain, it never happened. Really, the World War II, people who believe that World War II never happened, is no different than most conspiracy theories that say that photo is fake or I'm just asking questions, which is a very common thing a conspiracy theorist will say. When you start to push back, they'll say with whatever pet conspiracy theory they have, flat Earth or the moon landing was fake, they'll say a couple things and you'll push back and they'll go, hey man, I'm just asking questions. And this is the end result of that. When you say, you know what, I don't think planes crashed in the World Trade Center, I think they were holograms, and I don't think we landed on the moon, I think all the photos were fake. What's really to say that World War II never happened is not that big of a logical step. If you already believe that those things that we have documented with film were fake, and you're like, no, that was a soundstage, then why couldn't you fake World War II? Why couldn't all the newsreels be fake? And you go, well, it's the amount of people involved. Maybe you had people shooting blanks at each other. I'm old enough that in my lifetime I've met people who were, and I'm sure a lot of my listeners too, but I've met people who fought in World War II. I knew a woman who went to my old church. She was German, and when the Soviets came in, they had to dress the German men, as women because they were just shooting any man in the street. And I knew her. She went to my church. She was probably like 60. So, did she make that story up? Was she like, yes, I get my crisis actor money still. I'm still perpetuating the lie. Just to let you know, too, U.S. Revolution was faked. Britain just set that up. They're like, hey, let's pretend we're having a war. Civil War was fake as well, according to these guys. Civil War didn't happen. It's just a lie you've been told by the history military complex. Never happened. What's interesting is I wonder if they think Vietnam happened. Or the Gulf War. Like, at what point do these wars actually start taking place? Do any of them take place? The one thing I can give them is when we look at the book 1984, how all the wars are completely fictional. And one day you're aligned with one country, and the next day you're aligned with a different country, and you have to change your whole history, and they just kind of launch bombs at each other, and every so often there's a small version of casualties. But the war that they talk about with the raging war machines, they don't actually happen in the book 1984. They could be inspired by that. But the thing with 1984 was that the news media was so controlled that you would see the fake photos in the news of these troops like fighting each other, and we've never had that level of global control over our media. And I don't want to hear that, oh no, the Illuminati controls Beyonce and Katy Perry. No. The level of control where you could actually manipulate everybody's version of events at one time and nobody disputes it is not even a claim that's been made by the most diehard Illuminati conspiracy theorists. Because if that was true, if they had that level of control, you wouldn't be able to write about it on the internet. I wouldn't be able to read out that Illuminati email. So, that's, again, I could see them being inspired by 1984 and thinking the war was entirely fake. It was just sold to us for propaganda purposes, to make us feel like we're the best. And maybe in Germany they think they won the war. Oh my God, I don't know. I wish I could talk to this guy, because he put up a bunch of YouTube videos, the channel that got taken down, and the other videos they referenced were the Civil War never happened, the American Revolution never happened. I looked all over for more information on this. I couldn't find anything, because when you type in, did World War II happen, a lot of it is like alternate reality stuff, like what if it didn't happen, and so on and so forth. I'll keep looking around. I did find out, though, that the guy who had the YouTube channel has a merch store that you can buy merchandise. The merch store is called You Got Hoaxed. Not like we got hoaxed that it's a fake conspiracy theory, but like, no, you believe the lies. You can buy t-shirts, mugs, magnets, bumper stickers, and even a jigsaw puzzle. Jigsaw puzzle, it's completely white. All of the items are the same. They just have text on them. But you can buy a 30-piece jigsaw puzzle, and yes, I will buy this puzzle. It's a 30-piece jigsaw puzzle in black lettering against a white background. The worst jigsaw puzzle image I can think of is just words. This is what it says on the jigsaw puzzle. No one died and no one got hurt. Sandy hoax. Boston hoax. Aurora hoax. Chris Dorner hoax. LAX hoax. Navy Yard hoax. 7/7 hoax. Kenya Mall hoax. 9/11 hoax, etc. Period. Full stop. End communication. So this is the guy we're dealing with. Everything's a hoax. Everything's a lie. Every shooting, every bombing, because it's etc. All of it. It's a lie. Period. Full stop. End communication. There is no other debate to this. These things are hoaxes. And when you believe that, if you can go, Sandy Hook was fake, Aurora shooting was fake, 9/11 was fake, 7/7 was fake, LAX shooting was fake, Navy Yard shooting was fake, Chris Dorner, the guy who went around and shot a bunch of cops, fake. Boston bombing, fake. When you can just go fake, 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 why not just say World War II was fake? Because at a certain point you do have to ask, well, what do you believe in? What horrible incidents do you think that has happened in world history that you believe in? If you already believe that everything's a hoax, and all these tragedies are crisis actors, and all evidence presented to you is faked, why stop there? Why not say World War II was a hoax? And if you thought that was ridiculous, on Monday, we're going to talk about people who believe nuclear bombs. Nuclear bombs don't exist. They don't. I just want to talk about ghosts. It's October. I don't mind I love doing the conspiracy stuff, but for October, I just wanted to talk about ghosts, and this stuff just falls in my lap. Nuclear bombs don't. I just want to say I love doing this podcast, guys, and I do have a lot of fun doing it. Like these two stories, World War II doesn't happen, and nuclear bombs don't exist. It's one of those things that I just look at so logically, and I'm like, do I really need to cover this? Is this something that really needs to be covered? But because we deal with these wacky conspiracy theories that no one's heard of, I did want to cover them. So I hope you enjoyed the setup. World War II did not happen. If you ever hear anyone say that it happened, pull out your jigsaw puzzle, just tap it slightly and go, hey, hoax. And then on Monday, when I go in depth of why many, many people don't believe that nuclear bombs exist and why, you'll remember you're going to have to pull out that jigsaw puzzle if anyone says, hey, dude, did you hear North Korea might nuke it? Be like, nuclear bombs don't exist. I just wanted to talk about ghosts. That was a clip from our daily podcast, Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime news. If you want to hear the full episode that this clip came from, check the link below. Please like and subscribe. And hit that little bell, too. That does some magical stuff. Thanks, guys.